Hey, welcome to Chuck and Mash. It's January 17th, 2026. We finally got back together after our New Year's marathon of just pure shenanigans. But I had a world of a time. Y'all, please go back and look at those. It literally ends with me just fading into the middle of the table. I think we were in like the ninth hour. It was pretty embarrassing for me, but that's showbiz, right? So go ahead and kick it off, Mash. I know you have some things that you wanted to talk about today.
Yeah, I went back and I was rewatching the videos, and I noticed that when I was talking about certain issues, certain subjects, certain people, I was being way too broad and not being very clear as what I was talking about. Um, Basically, I was talking to the audience as if they already knew what I was going on about. Now, it's one thing for you because I've already sent you my talking notes or my talking points, and you knew the subject matter ahead of time.
Right.
So, for example, when I was ranting and raving about, say, flat earthers, one that had gotten me here very recently, his name is Lindsay. Now, he claims that there is a black hole at the North Pole which would destroy the entire Earth. And also, they don't believe in gravity, so black holes don't make any sense to them because it's just a large gravitational body. But he believes that there's a black hole there. The sun orbits the black hole, and the Milky Way galaxy is on the other side, orbiting it, causing night, which makes no fucking sense. But apparently, the entire Milky Way galaxy is now under the dome.
Right.
He also made the claim that Sagittarius A, which is part of the Milky Way, but apparently, when you look at that star, it's not there. What it is the backside of the sun, which doesn't have a backside. But he's claiming that the black hole causes gravitational lensing, which causes you to see the backside of the sun, which they don't believe in because, again, gravity. And also, why specifically Sagittarius A, even though the Milky Way galaxy is also inside the dome?
Okay.
None of this makes any sense. His own beliefs as a flat earther disproves his absolutely asinine claim.
Right. So you can see whenever you started talking, you lost me when you started talking about Sagittarius and this and that because I don't follow this and that. But if you'll remember, that whole segment and that whole piece was just me asking for your hot take.
Yes.
So,
But I still sounded like a huge raging a-hole without giving too many
because
details.
I knew that you were going to immediately jump on it. I'm sure your blood pressure went up about 5 points.
It's already up now. I'm turning red. I can feel my face getting
It was kind of, my setup to do that to you because you put me on the spot. So, of course, I had to do that. And, I just wanted to see. So now you've gotten to go back and you did a little bit on what you would have said had you planned all of that.
Yeah.
So, maybe I should have let you plan it, but it was kind of a setup for me.
The hot take is better because it's just me losing my mind.
Right. Well, I enjoyed it just because I got to see the rise out of you, and that's all I wanted to do. I mean, I knew you were going to nut out on it, and you did. And, now speaking on that, with actual examples and things because you got to settle down, right? You got to settle down and you got to go home and you're like, man, I just wasn't thinking right because my blood was boiling so much over the fact that he threw this at me now. And you're like, oh, wait a minute. I should have said this.
Well, it's not that you threw it at me. It's that these people are so I can't stand stupid. Right. It boils my blood.
Right.
But I wanted to get on to the next subject. My next subject is I'd also ranted and raved about people who claim to be conservatives, and those who preach the loudest are the ones who are often the monsters. And I didn't want to make it sound like everybody who is right, everybody who is Republican, everybody who is a conservative is a monster, is that way.
Right.
I wanted to specify one guy. His name is Robert John May III. He's a lawmaker from South Carolina. He was a member of the ultra-conservative Freedom Caucus. He led the campaign on bans on trans shows, healthcare for trans people, and the inclusion of LGBTQ+. And he said it was in order to, and I quote, to protect childhood innocence. Here's the kicker. He recently pleaded guilty for child SA materials, and he was sentenced to 17.5 years.
Right.
So yet again, one of those leading the charge champions is the monster.
Well, and it's funny you say that. And, the first thing you say is, well, they're not monsters. And it's because we try to reach across the aisle. We try to appeal to most people. I know that I come across as, super liberal. I know that I throw a lot of things in there whenever we're, debating and talking about the things that we talk about, because I do try to see it from the other side. I actually have a lot of points and beliefs from the other side of how I present. We talked about the Second Amendment. I'm a Second Amendment absolutist all the way. But again, I get thrown in this, group that has to, be about men and women's bathrooms, which I don't agree with, by the way. I don't agree with that,
I have a solution to it, but we'll get that on another time.
And I'm just bringing that up as an example because I have to be in one group or the other. And that's just kind of how we did. And when you said, you don't think they're monsters, of course, I don't think they're monsters. We live amongst them. We're in deep red West Texas, and that's literally everywhere you go. But I did want to bring up a point when you were talking about him. I got to go from the liberal side here and say you really give liberals a talking point because there's more. I'm not going to say days because someone would grab that and run with it. But there's literally not a week that goes by that you don't find in the media, in a court case, in the newspaper, somewhere about someone that's either an evangelical, conservative, or a Christian that has been, not convicted, but picked up, arrested, found sexual assault, something with a child, some kind of, kid pornography or something like that. Like it's in the news. And so from a liberal perspective, since, that's the party that sits there and wants to call us the party of pedos and the party of everyone that's, against children, and you want to protect children, but yet I can name them and I can look them up. I mean, it's a simple Google and there's thousands. And, one of the things I did is recently online, I'll go down the rabbit hole. Try not to argue online, but it happens. Sometimes I'll get on Facebook. Yeah, I'll get on Facebook and I'm just like, man, I'm just in that mood today. And I challenge them. And I'm like, look, you start naming names, and I'm going to start naming names. And let's see who runs out of names first. And, man,
remember the last time we were together, I said I can pull up 70 right now in the last 3 months.
And I can, and they can't argue that. They do. They still do try to argue it. But the thing is just give that up. Give that up, because really, it's in the media every week, just about. And we're talking about senators. Very well-known rich pastors, these youth pastors.
Yeah, especially.
I mean, it's all over.
It's gotten to a point that it's now a stereotype.
Well, it is. And I hate to generalize that, because I don't want to generalize that, because that's exactly where you were going with, you don't want to call them monsters. I don't want to call them monsters.
Monsters are monsters, but the other folks, they just got a difference of opinion than I do.
But whenever you get on Facebook, just like today, all liberals are this, all liberals are that. It's TDS, right? It's TDS because you believe in a certain way, and then, someone's going, oh, well, you're a pedophile protector because Trump is this.
Or your opinion is slightly different, and their response is, why do you hate America?
Right.
At no point in time did I say that.
Right.
I'm about to get off into it. I need to reel it in.
And that's fine. That's okay. I mean, it can go from just that to us having that discussion, and going wherever it goes. Because you mentioned that, and that really got me to thinking about the things that happened to me today, as far as, delving off and watching Facebook today. Now, we were, dress shopping for my youngest. I was busy. I'm constantly looking at notifications on my phone. And, I'm sitting there going, why am I still in this? Why am I still in this? But here I am raging for the team, right? And all it has to do is, I don't like to be pigeonholed. I don't like to be called that. I don't like to be told that I am just representing a team here.
Well, I think it's because a lot of people get stuck into the idea of a false dichotomy, and where it's one of two options, and that's false.
Right. It has to be one or the other.
There's a huge gray area. As several times you've said, you call yourself a liberal. Multiple times I've pointed out that I'm a constitutionalist. I don't try to be with either party. I got my stances on things. Some of it matches the left, some of it matches the right, and both of them call me the other side.
True.
I can't tell you how often people call me a libtard or a right winger and so like,
right.
You do not know who I am, and I try to deal with absolute facts. I've been burned before, but I got caught, and this was 2010. Fake information. I fell for it once, and I found out it wasn't true. Of course, I took down the post. I made another post that was actually about what actually happened in that event. I learned my lesson, and since then, I double and triple check my stuff before I ever go online or respond. And it really does kind of piss people off in person because they'll be saying something and I will jump in. And then they challenge me on it, so I then present the facts. And then they get mad because you always have to be right. Because I made sure first. If I don't think that I am right, I keep my mouth shut.
Yeah. And I'll just shoot things off like out of opinion. I did want to make a point though, and the reason why you're called a liberal these days, this is the political climate that we're in.
Yeah.
Because guess what? If you don't align with everything that Donald Trump does, you're automatically a liberal.
No, you're a terrorist at this point.
Yeah, we're looking to be rounded up at any given day now.
I mean, Merriam-Webster's are practically just spontaneously combusting into flames because words have no meaning anymore.
Right.
They're not even using left wing and right wing correctly anymore.
Right. But how many times have you told me, or have I told you in our discussions, basically, I talk about Pence. Whenever.
Yes, the living embodiment of a glass of milk.
Exactly. And I love to bring him up. I love to bring him up because he's really the only thing that I see right now. As far as embracing real conservatism, yes, he nut hugged the whole time he was VP, but that's what's necessary to make it in, their little, it's a job for them too, and that's what he had to do to make it in that world. But I'll forever talk about how he went with the Constitution. And, I think of myself as a constitutionalist too. And I never thought about that word until you and I first started having discussions. And, when we started talking, because I think one of our very first conversations, in fact, I think you were probably trying to avoid actually, everything that you believed in or whatever. But you told me, you're like, I'll destroy you on either side if that's what you want to do. If you want to talk about these things, I'll destroy you from either side.
Oh, yes, I remember that conversation. And I got pros and cons
right, and it's
way.
Stuck in my mind, and it really made me start to see. I took debate whenever I was in high school. We were horrible. We were horrible at. We didn't really understand the cons. We'd have a good coach for that sort of thing. But one thing I'm seeing and watching things like Dean and some of these things is debate is the fact that you can do both sides here, and when we got in that debate in UIL and they gave us the topic and what side we were on about it, of course, it had nothing to do with politics or anything like that. But I just remember something snapping in me and going, hey, this is what debate is about. A conversation, laying out the facts, laying out and pleading your case from that side. And to me, someone who can actually look at it, have that empathy and put yourself into the other shoes and have the mentality, the intelligence to say, hey, this is another living, breathing human that has a difference of opinion than myself.
Right.
Whenever it immediately goes to this shit slinging that you see, I'm pointing at my phone because it's the epitome of all evil right now on Facebook and how it's triggered me so much today. Because it's just some AI meme of I saw like
I do
Gavin.
wonder how much of that is literally just bots
Right.
saying shit just to piss you off.
Yeah.
Because then you get in the comments and their stuff gets boosted more because there's more interactions with it. And
Right.
there's money to be made in it, especially with like Instagram, TikTok, and other stuff.
Yeah.
It's just
Well,
it's got to be basically for the clicks.
right. But you know what I saw wasn't, and what I saw I know wasn't bots this time, because it was literally someone that just would not ever let it go. And what's funny to me is, you ever watch Saturday Night Live?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you? I used to love this. I just get a kick out of it every time I see it. But do you remember the ambiguously gay duo? And like one dude's like
TV
riding on the top
Funhouse,
of another one, and they're flying through the air.
That is some 90s stuff right
Right. So I see an AI meme today of Gavin Newsom riding on top of Joe Biden. And it's literally just like the ambiguously gay duo. Now I'm laughing.
Please, if you see that again, send it to me.
I'm just laughing my ass off.
Yeah. It's a good, funny joke, even though it's like on the other side. Funny is funny.
But I'm laughing and I'm having a good time with this. And I literally tell the person, I'm like, hey, you know, I'm glad that, you know, it wasn't because of that. There was so many comments and back and forth. And like I say, I fell into the trap. And here I go. You know, and I was just like, dude, like, I hope you're having a good time with this because you kind of seem like you're getting a little upset about things. Well, now, what is someone going to do whenever you tell them that? That is an automatic trigger for most people. That's like trying to tell someone to calm down when they're ranting at you. Now, has anyone in fucking history of the planet ever calmed down when you tell them, calm down? And that's kind of where this went with that sort of thing. I'm laughing. And I guess the point where I was really going with all this is if you can't laugh at politicians, if you can't separate the fact that they'll never know us, and if you pretend like you know them, then I got news for you. You know, it's one of those things where, you know, like one of the memes today was, you know, this woman that just got killed in Minneapolis. I definitely want to talk about that. You've seen me do a short on that, and my opinions on that. But, you know, they post, and it's got a picture of her, and it said, Democrats, is this your new hero? And my thing is it was such a self-own because it shows the mentality of what some of these MAGA people believe. You know, the whole gist of this segment was that not all are the same, right? But it shows that mentality that since you seem to worship a human and think he can do no wrong, and you know, there's some nutso people out there.
Oh yeah, and there are some that literally do worship him. They've actually claimed he was Jesus.
Right.
They've claimed he was Moses, the second coming.
See some nutty
and that's stuff. Some padded room shit.
Right. No, it is. But here's the thing. Now, I'm not going to speak for all liberals because I'm sure there's some people with Kamala posters, and you know, that probably met her, and all of that, and just freaked out and wanted to make merch. I guess I don't know. And so I'm not going to claim that. But what I'm going to say is we don't do that sort of thing. We don't have heroes in politics. They are public servants.
Yes.
And we just want them to act as such. I want them to be paid as such. I want them to be paid minimum wage. I want them to have the same health care as Medicaid and Medicare. And I want that to be some of their driving force to try to improve those things. So sorry to get off on that, but whenever you said about generalizing everyone, it really just reminded me of my day. So sorry if I ruined your segment, but it got kind of personal with me and my experience.
Oh,
With
trust me,
this.
I've had them days, dude.
Boy, I was that triggered Libby today. I was just that, and kept my cool and everything was fine, but just putting up and seeing that sort of thing, and if you say, oh well, why did you just get off the Facebook page? Well, I basically am a moderator and an admin on that page that kind of guarantees absolute free speech, and so it's one of those things where it's like it's kind of hard to give free speech totally in Facebook when you're moderating a thing.
And that's one of the things about being a constitutionalist, because you have the right to free speech, and even when it's triggering, I hate to use that word, but triggering speech, you still must bite your lip and let them do it because they have the right to do it.
Yeah, you don't have to agree and you don't have to like it, but if you respect it, everyone can get there. I'm not going to say everyone can get along, but there's something to be said for someone who can actually respect the fact that there are different people and they live right here with us and they coexist, and everything should be fine with that.
Oh, hang on. Your liberal is showing.